Um, so this is very important now. The Gemara says, the Yerushalmi says, one day, as Bar Koziva went out to battle, an old man met them and said, "May Hashem help you. May God be with you." Their mouths tripped them up, says the Gemara. And they said in reply, "May he neither help nor hinder." Dahainu, in short, what are they telling Bar Koziva? What are they telling this guy? Leave God out of this. We're okay without him. We're cool. That's a big mistake. And this is what we're going to see is the end, or the beginning of the end of Bar Koziva. God said, excuse me, um, okay, so we'll see that we'll see the end. The Gemara says, "How strong was Bar Koziva? He would intercept stones shot by the Romans with one of his knees, heave them back, and then slay ever so many Roman soldiers. He would just throw back you catch the boulders and throw them back. I mean, this guy was, but as we see, one thing he didn't have was the anava that was required. Um, the Gemara says, when Rabbi Akiva saw Bar Koziva, he exclaimed, "Darach kochav miYaakov, a star has risen out of Yaakov," referring to Bar Kochva, which is the nickname that Rabbi Akiva gave to Bar Koziva. He is the king Mashiach. He is Mashiach. Rabbi Yochanan ben Torta responded to Rabbi Akiva and he said, "Akiva, grass is going to be growing out of your cheeks, and Ben David is still not going to come." Meaning, you're going to already be dead. Grass is going to be growing from your cheeks, and this is not Mashiach. If this is the way he talks, it's not Mashiach. And I just want to pause here for a second and talk about um, just the feeling that everybody's feeling now. Um, we thought we were in control. We thought like, hey, we can handle this. And here HaKadosh Baruch Hu with a tiny little nothing is telling us, you're in control of nothing. Without me, you're nothing. What ends up happening to Bar Kochva, we'll see in a second. Um, and by the way, Bar Kochva was a frum Jew. You have here, you can see it on the screen, a letter from Bar Kochva requesting Dalid Midim, a lulav and a trog for Sukkot. His soldiers literally, they kept Sukkot. They were from. Remember that famous poster when I was a kid from the Yom Kippur War? You saw the soldier by the tank, lulav and a trog. So they were from. They were good, but they didn't have the anava that was required. What ended up happening? Things started getting worse and worse. Hadrian laid siege to Beitar for 3.5 years. In the city was Rabbi Eliezer Hamodai, who day after day wore sackcloth and fasted. Day after day he prayed, "Master of the universe, sit not in judgment this day. Help us out." After a time, Hadrian seriously considered returning home. But just then, Akuti came and said to Hadrian, "My lord, so long as that old rooster," referring to Rabbi Eliezer Hamodai, "wallows in ashes, you will not conquer the city. The strength of the city lies not with Bar Kokhba and his men. The strength of the city lies with that old man who's davening. Let me do it. Give me time, and I'll do something that will enable you to subdue the city today." He entered Beitar through the gate of the city, where he found Rabbi Eliezer standing and praying. This Kuti walked over to Rabbi Eliezer Hamodai and whispered something in his ear. People went and they told Bar Kokhba, "We saw that Kuti speaking to Rabbi Eliezer Hamodai. Your uncle Rabbi Eliezer Hamodai wishes to surrender the city to Hadrian." Bar Kokhba had the Kuti brought before him and he asked him, "What'd you say to him?" And the guy replied, "If I tell you, the king's going to kill me. If I don't tell you, you're going to kill me." So now what does Bar Kokhba think? He thinks, "Oh my gosh, this guy is speaking to Rabbi Eliezer Hamodai. They're in cahoots to surrender the city." Bar Kokhba went over to Rabbi Eliezer Hamodai and he asked him, "What did that Kuti tell you?" Rabbi Eliezer Hamodai says, "I don't know. I was in the middle of davening." "Don't give me that garbage. We're in the middle of davening. Don't give me that garbage." Boom, and he kicked him. He kicked Rabbi Eliezer Hamodai's uncle. What happened? Kicked him so hard. so fiercely that he killed him. And a divine voice came forth and proclaimed, "Woe to the worthless shepherd who abandons his flock. The sword shall descend upon his arm and upon his right eye." It intimated to Bar Kokhba, "You smashed the arm of Israel and blinded the right eye. Therefore shall your arm wither, and your right eye be utterly darkened." The sins of the people caused Beitar to be captured, and Bar Kokhba was slain. And that was the end. The hope, the only hope that the Jewish people had 70 years after the Khurban, they thought it's going to be rebuilt. Over. What happened? To make a long story short, Beitar was destroyed. The blood was running through the streets. It was awful. And what happened to Yerushalayim? Let's go down and see. So, guys, every week I take you to some place and we tell a story, we learn a Gemara, we learn a parak of Tanakh, and usually by the end or somewhere in the middle of the shir, I try to tell you guys, look, right here, this is David HaMelech's house. This is where the Navi Zechariah was. This is where Chizkiyahu was. We're standing on right where Rabbi Akiva, Beis Hillel, Beis Shammai. Well, guys, there's something very special about these stones that you all recognize. And I'm going to tell you something that you're not going to hear anywhere else at any other time. On these very stones, your great-grandparents never walked. Never walked. This is the only place in Yerushalayim that Jews did not walk. Because after the Bar Kokhba revolt, Hadrian totally destroyed Yerushalayim, kicked every last Jew out of Yerushalayim. He plowed the borders of the city. And by the way, I just want to you see on your screen, you have there a picture of the coin that was minted by Bar Kokhba himself, a picture of the Beit HaMikdash, meaning they thought this was going to be the redemption. And on the other side, you have a picture that was minted by Hadrian just a couple of years later, with the borders of Yerushalayim being plowed. And this, by the way, it wasn't Hadrian's idea. It's a fulfillment of a prophecy. The Navi says in Micha, Lachein biglalchem, because of you, Tzion sadeh techaresh. Tzion will turn into a field. Yerushalayim iyim tiyeh. Yerushalayim is going to be empty. V'har habayit lebamot ya'ar. Har habayit is going to be heaps, stone heaps, like in a forest, empty. Guys, they destroyed Yerushalayim, kicked out every last Jew, and they built a new city. And the name of this city was not Yerushalayim. You're not looking at Yerushalayim, you're looking at Eila Capitolina, the Roman name given to the city by Hadrian, who named it after himself and after the gods of Rome. No Jew ever walked here. Nothing. And these stones, by the way, this street here, this is an original, okay? I might be the first Jew to walk here in 2,000 years. Okay, these other ones are redone, but a lot of them you can see are original. And you can see how it was built. This was a huge, beautiful metropolis. These are like storefronts. Everybody kept their stuff in here. You come out in the middle of the day, just like Machane Yehuda, and you sell, and they were selling everything here, everything. But there was no talitot, there was no tefillin. You could buy a pig, you could buy a horse, you could buy a donkey, but nothing. No Jew ever got to come in here. There was no mezuzah on this wall, nothing. This was Eila Capitolina. And these pillars over here were holding up beams from the stores, from the storefronts, to cover things up. So if it rains, so if it's too sunny, you could sit here and you could walk. That's literally built like a real city. Just take a look. This is the store, this is the sidewalk, and this over here is the gutter. This is the street. Okay, one step down, and this is the street. And the street is built, this is the original stones. That's built modern. Right over here. I mean, idea, who do you know what this is? Drain. This is a drain. Yeah. This is the sewage system. Modern, this was the modern city of 2,000 years ago. Guys, just look how wide the street is. By the way, this is only half of the street. This is one half. The other half is on the other side. It's still underground. By the way, Part of it is uncovered. It's right next to our dorms. Okay, maybe we'll see it in a second. Okay, the street continues. Now, the real question is, who discovered this? How did we find it? It's been here 2,000 years for us? Well, the answer is no. Just take a look of where the old city is up there. Okay, when we came here in 1967, that was ground level, right where Kofix is. Chumus Chaviv. All right, that was ground level, a little bit at a slant over till here. All of this was underground. They didn't see none of these pillars. And by the way, these pillars weren't like this when they were found. If you could see that they're cut in half. They were found one on the floor. We just put them back together again. Right? So we refurbished their city. How did we find this place? That's the question. So the mystery lies over here. Okay. So some of you may have been here, may walk here, hang out here, and you have no idea what you're looking at. Sometimes you'll see groups hanging out over here. Unfortunately, we don't have that today. What do they come here to see? So everybody's come to see this map. So this is pretty crazy. This tile map is a replica. Okay, the original is in the city of Medva. Okay, somewhere in the Middle East, somewhere in some Byzantine church, they found an entire floor with a mosaic. And they realized that this mosaic is a map of Israel. And this part of the map, those of you who read Greek, says the holy city of Jerusalem, the holy city of Jerusalem. They realized this is a map from the 6th century of Yerushalayim. The 6th century is a couple hundred years after the Khurban, a couple hundred years after Bar Kokhba, but this is the map of Roman Jerusalem. You look at it and you're like, what the heck is all of this? But the truth is, you can actually figure out what things are. It's not so complicated. What can you identify, Yehuda? Can you identify anything over here? That sounds right. You see, okay, these look like gates, okay? You see walls around the city, okay? You can see a gate over here, okay? Um, what else do you see? What? This thing over here, this long street. Well, this is the Cardo. Okay, this is the Cardo. And obviously, there's a long street going through the middle of Yerushalayim. So they realized that in ancient Rome, underneath the ground here, there must be an old city. There must be a main street. The only question is how to find it. So the key is this. The street starts from here. This is clearly a gate. But what gate is it? Could be Shar Tzion, could be Shar Yafo. It's interesting. This gate, something here, some sort of pillar or some sort of statue. It's interesting. One of the gates of Yerushalayim, Shar Shechem, Damascus Gate, is called in Arabic Bab el Amud. Bab el Amud. Now, Amud means what? Amud, pillar, statue. What does Bab mean? Very no. We all know what Bab means because of what? Bava Metzia. Bava Metzia is the middle gate. Bava Kama is the first gate. Bava Basra is the last gate. Bava means the gate. Bab el Amud means it's the gate with the Amud. So they realized that this must be Damascus Gate, Shar Shechem, which means that this street, whatever it is, starts from Shar Shechem and goes in this direction, and this would be Shar Tzion, straight across. So they realized somewhere in the middle of the Jewish quarter, there's got to be this street. They dug, and they found it. And that's the corridor we just found. Of course, it took a Jewish mind and a Jewish archaeologist, right, to uncover the Roman city that's long gone. There's something else that's very, very important over here. This is new, by the way. They just put this in, they just installed this. And so you can identify actually some of the buildings, because there's a lot of buildings here. So maybe it's just random, but they're not. They're specifically meant to be certain buildings. For example, this over here, okay, is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Okay, we have no idea, Baruch Hashem, what that is. Okay, but that's where all the Christians come to see. Okay, you have a lot of other churches here. This one over here, which is near Shar Tzion, when we walk out by the parking lot, this is the Nia Church. Okay, this is another church. Okay, churches all over Yerushalayim, because what happened to the Roman city? We know that there was a Roman split in the Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire and the Holy Roman Empire, which became Christian. So Yerushalayim became a Christian city. Okay, so they built a lot of churches. But now, let's focus not on what's on the map. What's missing on the map? What? The Temple Mount. Har HaBayit. Har HaBayit would be over here, but it's missing. It's gone. Why? It's a physical place. Why is it not labeled? No, it should have been here. It doesn't exist. Not only the physical place doesn't exist, the people of that place don't exist. We're not here. We don't live in Yerushalayim anymore. And the few of us that are scattered all over, it's just a matter of time. We're gone. We're history. We've been thrown in, we've been traded in for a better model. The Jews aren't coming back. They're gone. This is the consciousness of a Christian in the 6th century. The Jews are gone. And if you don't think they're gone, we'll help them get gone. 1492, 1942, we'll get rid of them. They tried, they tried, they tried. Let's continue. Okay, this is a continuation of the Cardo. It's called the indoor Cardo, but you can see it's the same thing as before, the same Roman pillars, which you can see again, they found here lying on the ground. They had to put it back together again. This one, you could see they put it back together. Very nice. All of this was on the ground. Who found it? We did. A couple of years ago, they put up these mosaics to show you what was going on here, all the trade, all the things. You could buy a goat, you could buy wheat, you could buy pottery, but you couldn't buy a pair of tefillin. You couldn't buy a pair of tzitzis with tchelet, without tchelet, nothing. This was no Jews allowed. But who discovered it? We did. We came back in 1967. It wasn't just about showing our new presence here. It was about uncovering everybody who was here before us and before them and before them. Because we all know it started with us. I'm going to tell you a crazy story. Well, before we get to the story, there's a little bit of a riddle. So on Tisha B'Av, we read Kinot, and Kinot is kind of a little bit difficult, it's hard to follow, it's sometimes boring. But there's one Kinah that we actually sing, and it's called B'Tzeiti Mitzrayim and B'Tzeiti Yerushalayim. It has a nigun, and the last lines I want to read to you. I'm going to actually sing to you the last lines of that Kinah. Listen carefully. Moshe Yareinu, ve'Aharon Yancheinu, v'tzeiti miMitzrayim, Nebuchadnezzar, ve'Adaryanus Caesar, v'tzeiti miYerushalayim. Let's follow carefully. Moshe Yareinu, Moshe was our shepherd. Aharon Yancheinu, Aaron led us when we left Mitzrayim. Nebuchadnezzar, and Ardarianus Caesar Hadrian, B'Tzeitim Yerushalayim. When I left Yerushalayim, there was no more Moshe, there was no more Aharon. It was Nebuchadnezzar, and it was Hadrian. Who's Nebuchadnezzar? What did he do? He destroyed which? The first Beit HaMikdash, Nebuchadnezzar Melech Bavel. Hadrian, what did he do? Destroyed. Nebuchadnezzar did not destroy the second Beit HaMikdash. That was Titus before him. Hadrian, Adarianus, was not the one to destroy the Beis HaMikdash. He was the one to destroy the final presence of Yerushalayim. He's the one who gets honorable mention in the keynote because he was the one who totally got rid of everybody. Totally got rid of all Jews from Yerushalayim. He's the one who built this place. No Jews allowed. He gets honorable mention. But there's two more lines. Torah u'tu'udah u'klei hachemda b'tzeiti mimitzrayim. There was Torah. There was the precious vessels of the Beit Hamikdash, of the Mishkan when we left Mitzrayim. Sason v'simcha v'nasyagon v'anacha b'shuvi l'Yerushalayim. There's going to be great joy. No more anguish. No more suffering when we come back to Yerushalayim. We came back here and we're starting to rebuild. So now there's a little bit of a hump in the story, a little bit bump, but we're going to get over this one too. Just want to tell you a crazy story. You know, with what's going on now, so not everybody takes it in the same way that we do. Some people are believers and some people are davening, and some people don't know how to connect to that. But I want to tell you the story about Nachman Avigad. Nachman Avigad was the guy who actually did the archaeology here. He was in charge, and he uncovered this place. And he had a minhag on Tisha B'Av. Every year on Tisha B'Av, he didn't go to shul. He didn't sit on the floor. He didn't say keynote. He wasn't that kind of Jew. He used to go to Beit Sha'an. What was in Beit Sha'an? In Beit Sha'an, they found a huge pillar and a huge statue of Hadrian. Today, by the way, it's on display in the museum, in the Jerusalem Museum. You can see Hadrian behind glass. You can knock on. You can say, "Hi, Hadrian." He can't get out. He's in quarantine for the last 2,000 years. He can't move. All right? But that statue used to be in Beit Sha'an. That's where it was found. And every year, on Tisha B'Av, Nachman Avigad used to travel up to Beit Sha'an. I don't know if you know Beit Sha'an. Beit Sha'an is the hottest place in the universe. Okay? Tisha B'Av is the hottest day of the year. Okay? Didn't make a difference. I don't want to say anything. But maybe it wasn't so difficult. But it was hot. His car wasn't air conditioned, that's for sure. But he made his way to Beit Sha'an. And every year, he would stand at that statue. He'd walk up to Hadrian. He'd say, "Hadrian, yo, Hadrian, how you doing? I found your city. I found your city. I'm living here. I live in Jerusalem. Hadrian, what's up, dude? Where are you?" "I'm back here." Here's a personal story that I want to share with you about Rabina's Rebbe. A couple of months ago, Rabina took us to Panovich, and we got to meet Rav Kahaneman, the Rosh Yeshiva of Panovich. Rav Kahaneman's grandfather was the Panovich Rav Kahaneman, who started the Panovich Yeshiva. Now you have to understand, Rav Kahaneman lost his entire family, children, wife, everybody in the Holocaust. He came to Israel, and he came to Bnei Brak, and he said, "This is going to be the biggest Torah center in the world." They thought he was crazy. It was a wasteland. He said, "You wait and see." We know what happened with Bnei Brak. Well, I want to tell you another story. You know, as Ravina says, "Inein kemach ein Torah." It's great to build Torah with Talmidim, Avrechim, Sfarim. But if you don't have money, you can't build Torah. Rav Kahaneman didn't give shir that much in Panovich. Rav Kahaneman used to go around the world collecting money. Got to build the yeshiva. One time, he was traveling to raise money, and he was passing through Rome. All right? Obviously, he wouldn't do that today, but back then he was traveling through Rome, and he was staying overnight in, I guess, somebody's house, and he says to this Talmud, "Listen, straight from the airport, I want to go to the Arch of Titus." "Arch of Titus? Rebbe, we'll go in the morning. It's pouring rain outside. It's pitch black. You don't even have a coat." "I want to go now." Rebbe, you don't... I usually have an umbrella in the car. I don't even have an umbrella." "We'll go tomorrow morning. Don't worry, Rebbe, tomorrow's supposed to be a nice day." "I want to go now." The Rosh Yeshiva says, "Okay." So this guy takes Rav Kahaneman, takes the Panovich Rav, brings him to the Arch of Titus. It's pouring rain, pitch black outside. Rav Kahaneman goes out with his suit. He's not even wearing a coat. There's no umbrella. He walks up to the Arch of Titus. Titus, who destroyed the Beit HaMikdash. And he says to him, Titus, wie bist du? Titus, where are you?" Ich bin du. Even in Persian, you understand that, right? I'm here. Guys, we're not going anywhere. All these guys who stepped on these stones, they're gone. We're here, and we're here to stay. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Okay. Shkayach.